India's Omicron cases rise to 135 as 4 new cases are reported in Kerala today. 6 new Omicron cases reported from Maharashtra and 5 people test positive for the Omicron variant in Karnataka. 107 new COVID cases in Delhi, the highest in 6 months. Delhi reports the first death in 10 days. A spike in cases being recorded amidst an Omicron scare as the total number of patients infected with the latest variant of the coronavirus jumped by 12 on Friday to reach 22. The Jammu and Kashmir administration requisitions the army to restore power after 20,000 power department employees protesting against privatization cut off power supply to over 20 districts in sub-zero temperatures. The BJP pulls in the bigwigs to flag off a Jan Vishwas Yatra from 6 places in UP. BJP chief ministers called in to kick off this yatra ahead of the polls. A day after raids on his associates, Akhilesh Yadav hits out of the BJP, says phones are being tapped and that nothing else can be expected from the unopyogi government. Tension in Kerala's Alappuzha as 2 political leaders are killed in 12 hours. State-level leaders of the Social Democratic Party of India and the BJP killed in Alappuzha. And stand-up comedian Munawar Farooqi performs in Mumbai. The performance is hosted by the AIPC, a Congress unit. More than 12 shows of Mr. Farooqi have been cancelled recently amidst threats from right-wing fundamentalist groups. Good evening. Let's get you the news at 8 this Sunday. India's Omicron COVID count has risen to 135. 6 more patients have been found to be infected with the Omicron variant of the coronavirus in Maharashtra. Out of these, 4 patients have emerged from Mumbai's airport surveillance, 1 each from Pimpri Chintwad, the municipal corporation area, and the Pune rural area. Till date, a total of 54 patients infected with the Omicron variant of the virus have been reported in the state. Of these, 28 cases have been discharged after a negative RT-PCR test. So, India's Omicron COVID count now rises to 135. Earlier today, there were 4 fresh cases reported in Kerala. Now, Omicron has been detected in 11 states, all of them flashing on your screens right now. The centre has warned that it is likely that the spread of this new variant will outpace the Delta variant and has advised people to avoid non-essential travel and mass gatherings and to keep New Year's Eve celebrations at a low intensity. And Delhi today reported over 100 cases of the coronavirus in 24 hours. That's worrying because that is the highest daily spike in nearly 6 months, and it comes amidst the Omicron scare in Delhi as the total number of patients infected with the latest variant of the coronavirus has jumped by 12 on Friday to reach 22. And Akshay Dongre, my colleague, is following this story. He joins us. Akshay, 107 new cases today. The city also reporting 1 COVID-related death.
Well, this is extremely concerning, Ankita, because the number of cases are consistently going up. And this is not a one-off incident that the national capital has reported an uptick. Yesterday, it was 86 cases. 2 days before, it was 85 cases. So, one thing is extremely clear by this point of time, that the number of cases are indeed going up in the national capital. And this is especially worrying because Delhi has seen multiple waves of COVID-19. While the country has seen 2 waves, Delhi has seen at least 4 waves of COVID-19. And that exactly remains the biggest concern of the healthcare workers. Because in the last wave, the national capital's healthcare infrastructure was overwhelmed to an extent that people were not finding beds, even in the capital city of the country. We have seen for the past several months, in fact, for the past 2-3 months at least, Agita, especially during the festive season, that people have started to put their guards down. Healthcare experts have been warning about this uptick for a very long time now, and now in 6 months, this is the highest number of cases that has been reported. As far as the health ministry is concerned, they have given the numbers that in the national capital, almost 80% of people, over 80% of people have gotten their first dose, but it still is in the category of states where the second dose coverage is still between 50 to 80, which is not good because many states have covered a second dose to their adult population above 80% as well. So yes, this is a concern. Remains to be seen that what exactly are the steps that will be taken by the Delhi government to ensure strict compliance of mask behavior, because in markets like popular markets like Sarojini Nagar or Lajpat Nagar, you can go anytime, you will see hordes of people without masks, not following COVID appropriate behavior. So yes, if we have to act, we have to act now, because Omicron has shown the world that despite a high number of vaccine coverage, countries like UK, France are reporting a very high number of COVID cases, and that is unprecedented there. So it can again happen in the national capital. So we cannot now look away from the reality that a more transmissible variant is upon us, and we have to take all the precautions that we can take.
Absolutely. Akshay Dongre reporting from the national capital, where we've now gone above the 100 COVID cases mark. This despite 80% or so of residents of the national capital being doubly vaccinated. And Karnataka has now reported 11 Omicron cases, most of them detected in the educational institutions in the Dakshina Kannada district. Of these 11, 4 are students below the age of 18 who tested positive for this new variant. 1 student and a UK traveller were fully vaccinated and they've tested positive for the Omicron variant. Still, the state's Commissioner for Health says the situation of cluster outbreaks in educational institutions is not alarming. NDTV Shrija tried to find out why he thinks so.
2 cluster outbreaks in educational institutes in Bantwal and Mangaluru districts in Karnataka, with 4 students below the age of 18, 1 fully vaccinated, tested positive for Omicron. College at Bantwal, 16 test positive, of which 4 are confirmed to be Omicron. College at Mangaluru, 19 test positive, of which 1 is confirmed to be Omicron. Speaking to NDTV, the Karnataka Health Commissioner said the situation is not alarming and there was no need to shut educational institutes.
By and large, we have had asymptomatics or very mild symptoms amongst the Omicron. So, and also the interesting part is that when we are testing the contacts, the close contacts, that is the primary and the secondary, not many again are detected with the Omicron variant. There is no immediate cause for alarm. We have had clusters earlier too among educational institutions. So, no drastic decisions at the moment, but however, we will keep a close watch.
While 5 students tested positive for Omicron, 1 was a separate case of an international traveller from the UK testing positive for the variant, taking the total number of cases of Omicron in the state to 14. While the international traveller and 1 student from one of the clusters were fully vaccinated, the rest of the 4 students were not vaccinated as they are below 18.
We should really look at, having a guideline on vaccinating the age group of at least 12 to 18. Possibly they would bring the infection to the adults also, and this we could avoid initially in the first and second wave because we had closed down this.
Omicron cases have been detected in educational institutes for the first time in Karnataka. However, the government says it doesn't call for an immediate shutdown of schools and colleges. But in the coming days, the government will soon be issuing fresh guidelines ahead of Christmas and New Year. This is in order to contain the spread of coronavirus. In Bengaluru, with camera person Kumar, Shrija for NDTV.
And there's tension in Kerala's Alappuzha after the death of 2 political leaders who have been killed within a span of 12 hours. Prohibitory orders are now in place after 2 political leaders from the BJP and the SDPI, that's the Social Democratic Party of India, were murdered in Kerala's Alappuzha, pushing the police to ban large gatherings in the district. The Chief Minister has condemned the murders and assured strict action.
2 political leaders killed in Kerala's Alappuzha within less than 12 hours. On Saturday night, Social Democratic Party of India or SDPI State Secretary K.S. Shan was stabbed to death. And on Sunday early morning, BJP's OBC Morcha's State Secretary Ranjit Srinivasan was stabbed to death. Amid protests and slogan shouting, prohibitory orders have been declared across Alappuzha for 2 days.
പക്ഷേ കൂടുതൽ അന്വേഷണം ആവശ്യമുണ്ട്. അപ്പം ഇന്നലെ രാത്രി ഒരു നമ്മുടെ മണ്ണിച്ചിലും സൗത്ത് സെക്കൻഡ് ഇതുണ്ടായത് നമ്മൾ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി സംശയമുള്ള ആൾക്കാരെ നോക്കുകയാണ്. അതിനകത്തൊരു സ്പെസിഫിക് ആയിട്ട് സസ്പെക്ട് അക്യൂഷൻ പറയാനായിട്ട്.
While the BJP and the SDPI have accused each other of political vendetta and destroying the state's fabric, the opposition in the state has hit out at the Chief Minister of Kerala, alleging inefficient policing. Pinarayi Vijayan has condemned the attack and assured swift action.
This is the third brutal murder in last 60 days by PFI goons. The police is protecting, shielding the perpetrators. So the state government should take stringent action to suppress the PFI elements in Kerala.
ഇന്നലെ വൈകിട്ട് SDPIയുടെ സംസ്ഥാന സെക്രട്ടറി കെ ഷാനെ RSS എന്ന ഹിംസാത്മക ഹിന്ദുത്വ സംഘടനയുടെ പ്രവർത്തകർ വെട്ടിക്കൊലപ്പെടുത്തുകയുണ്ടായി. സോഷ്യൽ ഡെമോക്രാറ്റിക് പാർട്ടി ഓഫ് ഇന്ത്യയെ തകർക്കുക എന്നുള്ളത് RSSന്റെ ഒരു താല്പര്യമാണ് എന്നത് നമുക്കറിയാം.
ഗവൺമെന്റ് ഇക്കാര്യത്തിൽ നല്ല നടപടികൾ സ്വീകരിച്ച് ശക്തമായ നടപടികൾ സ്വീകരിച്ച് മുന്നോട്ട് പോയാൽ ഞങ്ങൾ ഗവൺമെന്റിനെ അക്കാര്യത്തിൽ പിന്തുണയ്ക്കും. മറിച്ച് ഗവൺമെന്റ് ഇതിൽ നിന്ന് ലാഭമുണ്ടാക്കാനാണ് ശ്രമിക്കുന്നതെങ്കിൽ ഞങ്ങൾ അതിനെ ചെറുത്ത് തോൽപ്പിക്കുക തന്നെ ചെയ്യും.
Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has condemned the murders. On Facebook he wrote, "Police will take strict action to identify, book the accused. Such inhumane acts of violence are dangerous for the country. I'm sure that all the people would be ready to identify and isolate such killer groups." For now, Alappuzha is tense as police probe the two murders. Sneha Koshi for NDTV.
And in the run-up to the Uttar Pradesh Assembly polls next year, the BJP launched its Jan Vishwas Yatra on Sunday, that's today, from Bijnor, Mathura, Jhansi, Ghazipur, Ambedkar Nagar and Balia. And they roped in chief ministers of BJP-ruled states and union ministers from the centre to attend and kick off these yatras.
आज हमारी सरकार को 5.25 वर्ष भी पूरे हो रहे हैं और 5.25 वर्ष के दौरान प्रदेश के अंदर कोई दंगा भी नहीं हुआ। आज कोई व्यापारी और कोई हिंदू प्रदेश से प्लान नहीं करता है। कल मैं देख रहा था इनकम टैक्स के छापे पड़ रहे थे, लेकिन समाजवादी पार्टी को पीड़ा हो रही थी।
देखिए, ये सब स्थान हमारे लिए आस्था के केंद्र है। हम सौभाग्यशाली हैं कि बाबा विश्वनाथ हमारे पास है, मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम राम हमारे पास है, भगवान कृष्ण हमारे पास है, तीर्थों का राजा प्रयागराज हमारे पास है। तो इन स्थानों का चौमुखी विकास हमारी सरकार की प्राथमिकता में है और हम इनका चौमुखी विकास कर रहे हैं। आपको लगता है कि कोई गलत रेट किसी के यहाँ हुई है तो आप अदालत में जा सकते हैं, लोकतंत्र। जो जन अपेक्षाएं हमारी सरकार से, हमारे आदरणीय नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी से, हमारे मुख्यमंत्री जी से जो जनता को थी, उन पर हम खरे उतरे हैं और उनको लेकर ही हम जनता के बीच में जा रहे हैं। जनता का आशीर्वाद प्राप्त करेंगे और पिछला जो हमारा आंकड़ा था उससे हम अच्छा और बेहतर प्रदर्शन करेंगे।
And the Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav, who is emerging as the big challenger to the BJP ahead of the assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh, has now alleged that the phones of his party leaders are being tapped. Mr. Yadav, who was the predecessor for Chief Minister Adityanath on top post, launched a sharp attack on the BJP a day after the Income Tax Department conducted a series of raids on his party leaders, including his private secretary. The raids, he says, are an indication that the BJP is going to lose the election. He also dismissed as unupoyogi or useless, dismissed the chief minister as unupoyogi, drawing on Prime Minister Modi's sobriquet upyogi, meaning useful, yesterday.
योगी सरकार बचेगी नहीं। जनता ने मन बनाया है कि योग्य सरकार उत्तर प्रदेश में बनेगी और इनसे ज्यादा अनुपयोगी कोई हो नहीं सकता था जिसने उत्तर प्रदेश को बर्बाद किया। तुमसे बड़ी व्हाट्सएप की यूनिवर्सिटी कोई नहीं चला रहा। और मैं आपको बता दूं कि हमारे सभी फोनों को सुना जा रहा है। हमारे जितने भी फोन हैं समाजवादी पार्टी के कार्यालय के या हमारे संबंधित जितने लोग भी हैं, उनके मोबाइल को सुना जा रहा है।
And stand-up comedian Munawar Farooqi, who's been facing a tough time lately after facing several cancellations of his shows because of threats from right-wing goons. He performed in Mumbai today. The performance was hosted by the AIPC, that's a Congress unit. Last month, the 29-year-old comedian was dejected by a series of show cancellations, indicated that he may not do any more shows. He tweeted, "Nafrat jeet gayi, artist haar gaya. Hate has won, the artist has lost. I'm done. Goodbye, injustice." He had said this on an Instagram post, a post that then triggered off huge support on social media. More than 12 shows of Mr. Farooqi had gotten cancelled over the past few weeks because of threats from right-wing groups. Today, the Congress's Professionals Maharashtra wing tweeted saying, "We facilitated Munawar Farooqi's performance in Mumbai. Artists should have creative freedom as long as they abide by the Constitution and they respect all faiths. We may disagree with someone's content, but using force to impose our opinion on others is unconstitutional." Well, we're going to go in for a short break. After that, Rika is on standby with the sports news, and she's going to bring you that exclusive interview with the youngest Indian to win a World Championship medal in badminton.
Daksha, pace, I think, is the right word to describe the way you and Kidambi played. Along with that, I would say it was a perfect display of power badminton and, breathlessness. I don't know when, after the match, you were able to catch a breath.
Definitely, it was my first experience, and to play in such big match like World Championship semi-final. So I was going all out. I was prepared for everything on the court, to retrieve, to play fast, to play, and whatever the game required, we both did it. And at the end, he managed to pull out a few points in the end, and then he won. But overall game, I was happy with the way I was playing, and I was happy with the way I was reacting to every situation on court. And it will be definitely a good match to learn from.
Finally, let me ask you, what will you do when you come back home? Because I understand you will be taking a break now.
Yeah, I think I have been asked this question a lot of time, and I just have to go back and watch Spider-Man now, and because the spoilers are getting too much on the Instagram and everywhere I see there is the Spider-Man post, so now I have to just watch the movie and get done with it, and then and spend time with my family when I go back home, and take a week off, and then get back to training.